Toucan Play That Game is proudly sponsored by NiceGameShop.com, the place to go for rare and unusual Asian games. Hi, I'm Michael. Take a seat and I'll tell you about First Martians Adventures on the Red Planet by Portal Games. A game where you take on the roles of people first going and exploring Mars and setting up a colony. You are living in the hub. This is your base of operations as you explore Mars and make it as habitable as you can. But life isn't easy on the Red Planet, and neither is this game. It is a difficult game to grasp, especially. You see, in this game, there's just so much you can do. I mean, just look at the sheer volume of components here. And that makes it very difficult to learn. The rulebook is this huge rulebook, and yet it leaves questions, some specific to specific kind of missions or adventures. You see, the way this game works is you can pick two play modes. You can play standalones. There are 6 standalone missions that you can play through, and these are randomized with regards to what events happen, etc. You can play them as many times as you want. And then there's also 2 campaigns. The first campaign is just kind of a normal campaign game, and then the second one has a legacy element, and they're pretty much the same game. Okay, there's going to be differences with regards to running story and things like that, but how you play is the same. And then there's just little new nuances and rules that are introduced for different for the different missions. You need to do a specific action that's a new action for that one, or it could be anything. There's just so much variety, so much to encompass in this game, and that's why it's difficult for the rulebook to cover it all. But this game requires an app, and the app will also help you with that because there is an FAQ in the app that is being updated. But what this game comes down to, the core of this game, is action selection. You're going to have your 4 astronauts, or potentially if you're playing with fewer players, you'll have some of these automated machines to help you instead. And these give you pawns. These pawns, you'll select what actions you're going to do. And the actions typically revolve around the facilities. And as you can see at the moment, it's all green, it's all good. Everything is going well. For now. This is rarely the state of the board. Things break constantly. There's always things going wrong, things breaking, and when you break, you turn a green cube into a red cube, and then you can try and fix it using spare parts. And that's a lot of what this game is. It's managing things breaking, things going wrong. And the game has events managed by the app. And this is where kind of the core aspect of the storyline comes through for those campaign missions, because the events in the story mode are specifically related to the mission you're doing. When you're playing the standalones, they're randomized and can seem a bit disjointed and weird at times. There's still a bit of that feeling with the app for the campaign, but less so. And yeah, so you'll pick your people. If you put one person, you're gonna have trouble. Now, it depends what action you can do. Some things you can do easily, like healing and gaining morale and stuff like that. And morale will help you do skills. But most actions that you're going to need to do, things like repairing, building, exploring Mars, gathering research and gathering samples in order to gain skills, or the things you need to do in order to complete missions. Anyway, you have a choice. Use 1 pawn or use 2. Use 1, you have to roll dice. So all the key important things you have to do in this game, you have to choose whether to do half as many. To ensure success, you can do half as many. Use 2 pawns. Or you can roll dice. And that's kind of where this game falls down for me. This is such a big, heavy, complex game with so many components. I mean, I've barely gone into the depth of this and how to learn and what you need to do. And you can get wounded and you go up and you get conditions. You can expand the facility with new buildings. You can upgrade the facilities you've got. There's just so much to this. But then when it comes down to doing your actions, there's so much randomness because you can't afford to always use 2 pawns. At some point, if you're going to succeed in these missions, they're specifically designed this way, you're going to have to take chances. Especially with regards to the fact that you're going to have extra things that you're having to decide whether to roll dice on or not because of other things going wrong. You've got to roll dice. And this is a big, complex game. It takes ages to set up. It then takes, an hour and a half to 2 hours to play. And whether or not you succeed, how difficult the game is, often comes down to chance. And yeah, I really wanted to enjoy this game. I think the whole colonizing Mars is a great theme. The whole idea of adventures on Mars really engaged me. I think Portal do fantastic jobs. I think component-wise, this game is amazing. But I just don't enjoy it because of the amount of randomness and the fact that most games might have an admin phase that's maybe, 5% of the game or whatever. This game is like 80% admin of shifting cubes around, right, working out this means that we've got to pay this means that we've got to pay this, right, going through the actions, resolve that one, and it is very much, it just feels like admin all the way along, and then you've got like 10% luck, and then 10% is the actually enjoyable part of the game, which is just deciding who goes where. And that's another problem, because who goes where doesn't really feel like it matters. In a lot of co-op games, the characters feel very distinct, very unique, and very important about who goes where, who does what, can make a big difference to the result of the game. In this, the skills are what are going to separate the characters and mean that it makes more sense for, say, the engineer to go do building. But a lot of the time, you don't have the morale tokens to spend for those skills, and you can only use them once in a round. So it kind of detracts from that element. And at the start of a campaign, for example, you've got the 1 skills, they're not necessarily that useful. Well, it doesn't matter too much. We're going to roll dice, or you're not rolling dice because it's so important, and therefore it literally doesn't matter who does it. Yeah, really wanted to enjoy this, but it's just, when I play this game, it feels like a chore. It feels like I'm just going through the motions, doing admin in a game. There's not enough of my decisions going on, and my decisions mattering. There's an element of you spend like 5 minutes discussing, okay, so you go there, you go there, you go there, and then you spend 10 minutes or more resolving the actions and then doing the other phases of the game. And I do think that the app support, the events, and the adventures could have been so much more than they are. I think the adventures, especially the randomness of those, can make a huge difference to the difficulty. Sometimes you might get a good one, but more often than not, they're going to be bad. And they just feel a bit lackluster. In some games that have that kind of event mechanism, you feel really invested in the decision you're making. You really care, and it's like, oh, I want that, oh, but then they're going to have this or this happen. Just you're dragged into the theme and the story. And the adventures in this, the decisions you're making, tend to just be, do you want to go see that thing? Do you want a spare part? And it feels just a bit, yeah, I guess that would be useful. It doesn't engage you and feel like an exciting adventure. It's just something that happened. It's very mundane a lot of the time. And the randomness of that can be very frustrating. Another place that the randomness can be very frustrating is with these malfunction cards here. When malfunctions get bad enough in a certain area, you then draw a card to determine what breaks. And if the thing that's driving this up is your solar panels are broken, and you draw something that is like, yes, it relates to the solar panels, it makes perfect sense, it feels great, more often than not, you draw something and it's like, how does that relate? It doesn't really feel like it makes sense. And that's a shame. I really want to like this game. It's just the components, the way it's put together, everything feels like it should be a good game. But it just fails to hit the mark. For me, at least. Now, one thing I will say is very good about this game is the way that it scales. Now, they've done a very good job with this. You see, you've got the 4 people that you'd use for a 4-player game, and as you lose people, you introduce these autonomous machines. And they balance the fact that you've lost people and you're gaining the machines by you have reduced actions. So you've got reduced need for food and things like that, but you've then got reduced actions. So that balances quite well. However, the fewer players you have, the harder this game is. Because the only thing really punishing you about number of people is food. And so it doesn't quite work out, the loss of actions to the increased cost of food. But there is also stress. So you end up using actions more to reduce stress the more people you have, and less so with fewer players. So that balances it a bit better. But for the most part, it is easier with more players. I think that's pretty much enough. There's just so much I could say about this game. There's so much going on. It is a very difficult game, but at the same time, it's difficult to play. It's just there's so many intricate little nuances. It's such a complex game that it is difficult. The actual decision-making process and the actual process of, okay, so I just put my people there and I'm going to do that, is quite simple. It's all the admin and everything else that goes along with it that just drags this game down and makes it such a negative game. Because everything is, all of that admin stuff, all of the randomness is all just trying to make the game difficult. It is trying to make things go wrong. You know, the malfunctions, it is things breaking, the events, it's all being negative. And you're constantly just fighting this stream of negativity in this game without ever feeling like a hero. In a game that promotes that it's about adventuring, you want to be feeling like a hero. You want to be feeling like you're progressing, like you're going somewhere. And in this, it just always feels a bit like you're just staying afloat. And that might be realistic. You know, that might be the kind of simulation aspect of what they're going for with this game. And you might love that fact that it is this constant challenge. But for me, it made it a very negative experience, combined with the randomness, combined with the amount of admin. I did not enjoy this game. So that is my thoughts on First Martians Adventures on the Red Planet. Do hope you've enjoyed this video and found it useful. If you have, please do check out the rest of the videos on the channel, as well as subscribing and sharing. And as always, thanks for watching, and bye for now.